Let's take a look at, he is independent, but I think it's another important argument to be debunked. Let's take a look at Angus King, Senator Angus King, pretending to really care about the rights of the undocumented.
Well, Joe, you have to go back to what the strategy was at the beginning of the shutdown. There were two goals, both of which I support. One was standing up to Donald Trump. The other was getting some resolution on the ACA premium tax credit issue. The problem was the shutdown wasn't accomplishing either goals, and there was there was zero likelihood that it was going to. In terms of standing up to Donald Trump, the shutdown actually gave him more power, Exhibit A being what he's done with SNAP and SNAP benefits across the country. Oh, by the way, Joe, you're going to love this. Guess who's getting paid during the shutdown? Not the park rangers or air traffic controllers, the ICE agents. Under special law, under that big, awful bill that they passed last summer, the ICE agents are being paid. Nobody else is. So standing up to Donald Trump didn't work. It actually gave him more power.
Okay. Standing up to Donald Trump didn't work. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's like a parody. So let's respond to that framing, that idea that standing up to Trump didn't work. Then we can talk about the ICE stuff.
I mean, did you watch the election results last week? Like, that is as demonstrable a result as you can possibly get. And it wasn't just New Jersey and Virginia. It was Pennsylvania statewide races. It was the freaking Mississippi State Senate. You know, Democrats broke the supermajority. It was these statewide races in Georgia. It was a tax measure in Colorado. It was Prop 50 in California. Like, every single race you could look at shifted towards the Democrats. They finally were pressured into doing something that their base wanted to see them do from the beginning, which is to actually fight. And guess what? People responded to that. Now, I'm not saying the shutdown was the only factor. Obviously, people are watching their quality of life and their material well-being rapidly deteriorate at the hands of Donald Trump, who was giving the whole store away to his band of tech oligarchs and an absolutely monstrous cast of characters, while throwing himself Great Gatsby parties and sending mass thugs into neighborhoods to tear gas children. I would say all of that had an effect as well. But there was a very clear message sent from the electorate. We want you to fight. So to say that, oh, this wasn't working, what planet are you living on? And yes, Donald Trump was putting up this front publicly of, oh, we're not going to negotiate. We had the reporting that privately he was freaking out. Republicans knew this was a massive political liability for them. And so at that moment of maximum pressure, when your spine should have been strengthened and fortified by those election results, that you cave in that moment is just so utterly pathetic. And just one other note to this guy, like, he came in with this prepackaged talking point about how, you know, who's getting paid? The ICE agents are getting paid in that part. He can't even deliver it. I mean, that's the other embarrassing thing, is just like the inability to speak coherently and formulate thoughts that are compelling and articulate them in a way that makes any sort of sense. All of these 8, when they have gone on TV, when they did their little press conference, every single appearance I've seen has been utterly embarrassing and pathetic.
Yeah, it really is. It's unbelievably embarrassing. And again, like you're saying, you know, a wide range of characters is critical of this. When you have people like Matt Iglesias and Neera Tanden, who thinks
and Ezra Klein,
and Ezra Klein, yeah.
Ezra made a great point. I think Ezra made one of the best points, which is he said, listen, what is Trump actually going to learn from this? He's going to say, okay, you guys are always going to cave. You're always, if I just hang tough, I'm going to be able to bully you and get my way. And that is 100% the lesson that he and all of the Republicans are going to take from this. And it's the lesson they should take from it, because it's just undeniably true at this point.
So what other races are you looking at right now that give you excitement, that give you hope, fear?
Well, obviously, I'm super psyched about Zohran. And so we'll see, you know, how he's able to govern and what sort of roadblocks are thrown in his path. I mean, you and I both remember what just the pure levels of unadulterated hatred that Bill de Blasio and Cuomo had for each other, and the way Cuomo did everything he could to screw over Bill de Blasio. But even against that landscape, and Bill de Blasio being, you know, no offense to him, but a much less sort of like compelling and charismatic figure, didn't have a movement behind him in the same way as Zohran does, et cetera. Even so, he was able to get universal pre-K. So I'm hopeful that Zohran is going to be able to get some of his key priorities fulfilled. And so we'll see what that looks like. I just interviewed today Katie Wilson, who you should talk, if you haven't talked to her. She's the one, I wasn't really aware of her, I'll confess, until just a couple weeks ago when I started to really plug into, okay, who's running where and what are these election results going to look like? She is a progressive insurgent running against a more corporatist incumbent mayor of Seattle. And on election night, because all voting in Washington state is mail-in, and usually more progressive younger people vote later. So on election night, it didn't look great for her. She was down by, I don't know, like 5 points, 6 points, something like that. But as more mail-in ballots came, she was steadily closing the gap. And then just last night, with that mail drop, she took the lead by 91 votes.
Wow.
So it's looking very much like she is going to be the next mayor of Seattle. And when I spoke with her today, I was really impressed with her. You know, she's not sort of like flashy, I guess, in the way that Zohran is, but she knows what she's talking about. She's a longtime activist in the city of Seattle. She knows the ins and outs of city government. Yes, she's never, been in government in this way before, but this is not some rube. She absolutely has like a plan and specifics ready to go. So that's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on as well. There was sort of there were a lot of progressives on the city council up to 2020. And then there was kind of like a backlash to BLM and COVID, and you had more centrist types come in. Now they've been swept down, and now you have progressives coming back in. So that'll be an interesting one to watch. Then, of course, there are a bunch of these. Yeah, that's her. And she founded this I think it's called Transit Riders Union, which focused obviously on like transit issues and also the labor issues and housing issues. She's been at the forefront of the affordable housing fight in Seattle. I'm excited about her and to see what she's able to do, because when you have that kind of executive power, you actually get to implement some of your ideas and see how they work in the real world. I'm obviously taking a look at a bunch of the Senate races. We're interviewing this Friday Katie Flanagan, who is
Katie, big Katie week.
Big week for Katie's for me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just all about the Katies this week. So she just got endorsed by Bernie. She's running against this. She's the current lieutenant governor of Minnesota, running against this absolutely terrible lady named Angie Craig, who was like, I think, a former healthcare executive, and she's a member of Congress. She sucks anyway. So I'm excited to talk to her, see what she's all about. Obviously, the main race, I am locked in on Graham Plattner versus Janet Mills. I think that one is actually really important for a variety of reasons. And then the Michigan race as well, Mallory McMorrow, Abdul Assayed being the Bernian-backed Medicare for All candidate, and then Haley Stevens, who just like totally sucks.